Hey there clan, Scottish Warrior 92 here, and welcome to another WION review. As always, I'm your host Scottish Warrior 92, and I said my name twice there. Fuck it. And in the spirit of Halloween, I thought I would review some supernatural movies, or at least horror or gore themed movies. I do have intentions to review the Underworld film, but I saw this film last night because I was a wee bit bored and I just stuck it on. I was up quite late last night. So I thought, why not get this one out of the way first? And I should probably have taken it out of the sleeve first. But I'm going to be reviewing Shaun of the Dead, one of my personal favourite zombie comedies. Well, I think it's technically classified as a zombie drama, but same thing. So, let's, and in that spirit, I have stuck on a nice little shot in the theme of Shaun. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any pockets, so I can't do a red mark, and I don't have a tie. And unfortunately, I don't have a cricket bat. In fact, not unfortunately, because cricket is a really, really dull sport. But I busted out my weapon of choice for the zombie apocalypse. I busted out my beauty of a blade sword right here, and I think this sword will be featured in all my Halloween-themed WION reviews. So let's dive right in and answer the simple question: is Shaun of the Dead worth it or not? So, firstly, as always, let's talk about the story of Shaun of the Dead. Well, the story of Shaun of the Dead is fairly stock, but that's most movies, unfortunately. I tend to say stock a lot, my apologies. But the story follows the character of Shaun as basically he's just your average Joe. He's got a shitty job, an okay life, he's nothing spectacular, and basically one day a zombie outbreak happens in London, in his little hometown of London, and he basically gathers up his friends and his mum and basically holds up in a bar called the Winchester. That's basically the story, and he basically is out there to survive. I don't want to spoil too much for those that haven't seen the movie, but that's the basic story of Shaun of the Dead. It's actually fairly simple, fairly easy, and sometimes the simplest stories are the ones that work the best, especially for Halloween. Isn't it? It's so simple that the scariest stories that we know in life are normally the most simple. But this is a comedy, so let's get straight into that fact. And, of course, throughout the movie we do have the typical zombie stuff, you know, like bash him in the head, of course, or in my case, cut the head off. And, of course, hijinks and comedy ensue with the certain visual aesthetics and also the way that certain zombies are killed, and some of them are not normal, but one or two are kind of cute and funny. I like it. But let's get into it. So I've told you the story, and really everyone's probably seen this film, and we all know the spoilers. But as I say, my rule of WION Review is I don't spoil. So that's the story. We do have very interesting characters. We have Ed, who is the basically the guy that we all know, who sits in his ass and eats nothing, eats all day, smokes weed, and plays video games and doesn't want to get a job and all that. But he's funny, so we keep him around because he's always good for a few laughs. Then we have his girlfriend, who is, well, she's interesting. We have a lot of interesting characters, and those are the ones that stuck out to me. We also have the one and only Bill Nye in this, who does a fantastic role as Shaun's stepdad for the brief time that he is in. He is actually only in it for a short period of time, which is unfortunate because Bill Nye is awesome. But, of course, let's get into the... how did the story hold up? The story was very well done. The story is simple, straightforward, and is probably how most people would react during the fucking zombie apocalypse. The reason I like the story of Shaun of the Dead and the movie in general is because of the simple fact that it's kind of how most of us would react during a zombie apocalypse. Like, he almost does exactly what I would do in a zombie apocalypse. I would be oblivious to it, and I would probably just get up like normal, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go outside. I'd probably get halfway to my college, and then I wouldn't notice like burning cars, and I wouldn't notice stuff. I'd be like, oh, college. And then I get about halfway to college, and I see like a couple of people being eaten alive, then I go, oh shit. And then I run back home and curl up and like that. But I like it. Like most zombie films, which the only problem I really have with a lot of zombie films is sometimes they make too many characters that are too badass. The characters of Shaun of the Dead are not badass. They are the best part of this, in my opinion, because they're just one or two stereotypes, but a lot of them are just simple, normal people who go caught up in a zombie apocalypse and are just there to survive. And it works well. It's really well done, and that's what I think the best part of this film is. The characters. The characters are always the best part of Shaun of the Dead, in my opinion. And that's what I like, because it's just normal people. And the director of this, I do believe that the star director and producer of this film is Simon Pegg. And Simon Pegg is awesome. Like, literally, he does some awesome... This and his other film, Hot Fuzz, is awesome. Two of my favourite comedies. And most people will recognise him from these movies, but some people might recognise some other movies he's done. In fact, most people will probably recognise him from Star Trek, where he plays Scotty. But I think he was the writer of this, and he does really do a great job with it. He does know how to write a good story and also good characters. He's a good comedian. He's good at getting a good laugh to you as well. That's always a good thing. Oh shit, the mic's far away. Oh well, fuck it, if you can't hear me, I'll fix the audio. But that's basically the characters and the story are the best part in this, in my opinion. They're really well done, and it's just you kind of root for them to survive, but you know, like half of them are going to die. That's the thing with a zombie film. Almost about half the people die. It's a shame because some of the characters are really well done. But let's get to the other part of that: the effects and overall enjoyment of the film. Of course, the zombie makeup is your stereotypical zombie. Pale skin, dead eyes, blood, some missing neck pieces, one or two missing limbs here and there. But what I like about this is these zombies are just... There are a few zombies that you'll notice and you'll get a good chuckle out. You're like, ah! There's one in a wheelchair, which is not funny. The main fun factor of that is because it's still pushing the chair and you're like, nah, that wouldn't work. There's two twins who I swear I've seen them somewhere before. There's just the way some of the zombies react is really funny as well, and how some of them act. Really, it's a visual humour with some of the zombies, which I like. It's really well done, and it's very well done, which I think is the best part of this thing. Is as I say, story and character are the best part, but a good close second is, of course, the effects of the makeup and the zombies, which is just your stereotypical zombies, and some of them you get a good chuckle over the way that they are and all that. Of course, let's talk about one or two with practical effects. There are some practical effects in this, i.e. like limbs getting torn off. One character does unfortunately get disemboweled, ripped to pieces, and well, generally eaten. And they use practical effects. You can tell they're fake, but the practical effects is always a thing that I've always enjoyed about zombie films, in my opinion. Is if you're going to do a zombie film, you have to have practical effects, because you have to have at least one or two characters getting ripped to pieces. Not too many, one or two. Practical effects have kind of died out nowadays, and it's a shame, because sometimes practical effects are a lot better than CGI, or... CGI works best, but if there's too much of it, it takes away from it. And Shaun of the Dead only has maybe one or two CGI moments, and mostly it's just people getting shot in the head. Ow. But they do use a bit of practical effects, which I like, and really well done. I love practical effects. Practical effects have always been a wee love thing for me, because it makes it seem more real. It makes it seem more like it's actually there. When I'm watching a film with CGI, you can tell, yeah, that's not fucking there. No matter how good it looks, you're just like, that's not there. I much prefer practical effects, but as it is, CGI has its place, and if it's done right, it can be well done, and I think Shaun of the Dead does it right for a zombie film, in my opinion. And, I think anything else I can think about this film that I can say positively. Well, of course, I have to talk about a couple of negatives. There are some minor problems with it, like, as I say, certain characters I think were underused. Bill Nye, especially, the character he plays Sean's stepdad. I think he was a bit underused, and I would have liked to have maybe seen him a wee bit more. But the way they used him, they done him reasonably well enough, and I like that. He had a good bit in the movie, but I think they could have used him a wee bit more, and I think that would have been a lot better. But that's just my opinion. A couple of characters dying for no reason. Like, I know it's a zombie film and characters are meant to die, and there are actually two really emotional death scenes. I don't want to spoil who dies. Well, fuck it, he's already fucking know. Ed and his mother. Sorry, spoilers. But Sean's mother does turn into a zombie, and he has to kill her. And Ed does get bitten, and he basically sacrifices himself to let Shaun and Liz get away. And they are really well done scenes. As I said, you don't really expect that from a romantic comedy with zombies, as it says here. But Really well done. As I said, it isn't all just laughs. It's actually some really heartfelt emotions and how most people would react during a zombie apocalypse. Which most of the time in the most recent zombie films I've seen anyway, is really not done well. Like most of the time, people are just like, zombie apocalypse. Okay, let's get to killing, and slicing heads off and shooting guns. And really, it does get a bit grey, and I really don't like it when zombie films shouldn't. That's one reason why I like The Walking Dead, actually, is because you're following the characters for their survival. They're not badasses, they're just there to survive. The same with Shaun of the Dead, in my opinion. You're following the characters, you want them to survive, you're seeing how most people would react during a zombie apocalypse, which I think is one of the main points of a zombie film, in my opinion. Not just blood, gore, and ripping things to shreds. That should be in the film in some instances, but in my opinion, what a zombie film needs to do is concentrate on the characters and following them and making you care for them and making you want to wish they survive, which Shaun of the Dead does really well. I was talking about bad things there, I talked about starting with good things. There are one or two wee plot holes in the movie, like how at the end of the film, spoiler alert, sorry, I know I tried to avoid spoilers, but we all know the fucking story of Shaun of the Dead. I think everyone's fucking seen it. In fact, I won't say the spoilers, sorry. There are one or two plot holes in it towards the end of the film. But the good thing about this DVD, actually, is that it actually comes with an explanation for the plot holes. With the DVD and the special features, it does show you two storyboards in which it explains how the plot holes make sense, which very few films actually do that, and I like that about this DVD. The special features in this thing are really good, and it explains the fucking plot holes, which I liked, but as a film as a whole, there are two plot holes that are kind of like, how the fuck did that happen? But the special features explain it, which is nice. There is also towards the one of the things I have to talk about is the ending to the film, mostly what they did at the ending of the film. Which, of course, like I will advance, this is not really a spoiler, as it doesn't really affect the main story. But I will advance. Click off now if you want spoilers. But at the end of the film, they actually show like how the aftermath would be on TV, like having news anchors talk about it, having. For over here, there's a show called Trisha, which is basically fucking Jerry. Which is basically, I'm trying to think, what basically fucking Jerry Springers for Neds. That's the best way I can dub it. And they had had something on there. Basically, a wife who was still married to her zombie husband, and it was fucking hilarious. I love that little thing. And then it showed like how certain people were reacting to the zombies that had happened. Like we still use the zombies are still here. We just use them to push our trolleys now. Like it would really it's for humor's sake, that part where it shows like how the zombies are being treated now. There's something called zombied in this universe. I love it. I love that little thing at the end. It's bloody hilarious. Really well done, and it really adds to the humour of the film. They did do it at the start of the film, but it's more for like a little bit of dread and panic. But I like that towards the end of the do it, and there is actually special features on this DVD called TV Bits, where it has T4 and Coldplay, like talking about Zombied, which is basically a zombie charity. Fun Dead, which is like a little game show they've got in that universe now, where like they have the zombies playing like Total Wipeout. They have Trisha, I Married a Zombie, and they have Jeremy Thompson interview. Who's a news anchor over here. They add so much to the DVD and gives you little snippets that they did want to have in the movie as a film, but they had to cut out. And it really adds to the humour of it, and I love that little thing in there. So, and that's what I've got to say. Like, I know I tried to point out bad points, but as I said, the only bad points for this film with me was there were some instances where it did seem like convenience and plot. There were one or two plot holes, and I think one or two characters were underutilised. Like Bill Nye and the little group of Shaun's, basically the female, there's a little group that they run into who basically are the exact same as them except for slight visual differences. In fact, one of the guys in that wee group is actually the guy from Little Britain, whose name escapes me. And I would like to find out a wee bit more about them, but I'm just going to answer the simple question here and now. Overall, in general, Shaun of the Dead is a film that I think everyone should see. It's a movie that you must own, in my opinion, because it's a really funny thing. It's also also has its drama points. It's meant for humour, but also has drama points. It's meant for a little bit of gore as well, with one or two scenes. But of course, I have to say, who wouldn't like this film? If you're not into like a spoof, because this has spoof-ish elements to it, but it's not a full-out spoof. If you're not a big fan of spoofs, you might not like this film. If you just want a blood and gore thing, go fucking watch Saw. You might not like it if you're into like the gore face or the overall like if you want to see a shit ton of fucking zombies ripping people apart. You're probably not gonna like this film. But I think this is a film that is kind of universally liked. A lot of people really do like this film. I'm one of them, and I think this film is a must-have in most DVD collections, and definitely made it a purchase or at least a watch. If you can get a hold of it, I'd highly recommend it. So the answer to this is Shaun of the Dead worth it? Yes, Shaun of the Dead is worth every penny that you can pay for it. You should be able to get it fairly cheap right now. As it says, I got a box set. I got Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I got it when Hot Fuzz first came out. And by the way, I may review Hot Fuzz in the future. But yeah, overall, answer to the question, Shaun of the Dead is definitely worth it. I think most people probably have it in their DVD collection, or at least have seen it. But if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a watch, definitely worth a pick up, if you can get your hands on it, which you should be able to find it on fucking Amazon, eBay, at your local DVD shop. But I think that's all I've got to say on the film. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. So I wanted to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this film. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go and take care of some zombies. Yeah, sorry, I had to say that. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, I'm Scottish Warrior 92, and I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse when yous are. So I'll see you all later. Ciao for now. Mwah.